Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So this is part 6 and the final installment for the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition. Last we left off, I was talking about emails that were brought up to Maxwell that she was confronted with that were really crazy. So one of the other emails that really struck me, it was freaky because it had a very ominous tone to it. The email was sent from Maxwell to Epstein in January of 2015, and she writes, in part, quote, "This isn't getting better." And she references an article written by the Guardian news outlet regarding Giuffre's lawsuit and what all was going on with that. Epstein then replies to her, quote, "This will now end, but I think a dismissive statement is okay." So that's a little creepy that he puts it so starkly, "This will now end," as if he knows something or has his finger on the scale somehow. You know, she's asked about that, if they ever discussed it, what he meant by that. Of course, she bobs and weaves and doesn't give any answers and pretends that they didn't have any communication. That's where it ended. That's, he sent that ominous email and she just went, "Oh, okay." I mean, oh my God. So Macaulay also asked Maxwell if Epstein had any friends in the CIA or FBI. And then she followed up with another question asking if he had any affiliation to or ever performed any work for the Israeli government. So again, kind of creepy. I mean, attorneys typically don't ask a question if they don't already know the answer, and they don't waste time on questions with no basis in reality. So this one was a little bit jarring, but what's really evident from this deposition is that when Maxwell alleged that she hadn't spoken with Epstein in approximately 10 years, because that was what she claimed, she didn't have just a lapse of memory. It wasn't just one email correspondence over the past 10 years. There were many. You could not possibly forget how many emails went back and forth, especially during this whole lawsuit with Giuffre. They were clearly coordinating their responses. They were collaborating on how to handle the fallout from all of this. It's so obvious. And it also became evident that Maxwell pretends that she doesn't understand questions. She tries to cite the fact, she's from another country. It's just not in her vocabulary. Maybe I'm not understanding things. I mean, she makes the attorney repeat questions that are so easy over and over again. Yet, Maxwell uses very common phrases and terms that suggest otherwise. So, for example, she used the term AWOL to describe an attorney who she claimed didn't show up for a deposition in 2009. And then when she was asked where she was staying, because she was in the process of selling her townhome, and she said that she really hadn't figured out where she was going to end up. She hadn't purchased anything else. She wasn't sure where she was going to stay. So the attorney presses her on it, where are you going to be? And she uses the term couch surfing. So that's not in the vernacular of someone who doesn't understand the American language and various slang terms or even standard terms as she was being asked in this deposition. So I think it's all a show, but here's my biggest takeaways after reading this entire document. Why is the court still protecting men who've been accused of violating children? I mean, we can piece together who most of them are from other stories that are already out there in the press. So what's the purpose of redacting their names? I don't understand this. They made it seem like this was going to be out in the open, everything was coming out. And why did Maxwell fight so hard to keep this deposition sealed? She and her attorney have fought for months now to keep this out of the public. And one of the reasons they cited was that it contained embarrassing and private details, they said, about Maxwell's sex life. That is categorically untrue. For one, the only questions Maxwell was allowed to answer in this deposition were questions involving potential engagement in underage sex or non-consensual sex. Her attorney repeatedly kept instructing her not to answer questions when they would ask her about consensual adult relationships. It occurred over and over again. So if that's not true, and then she denied everything else. I mean, anything they asked her about underage sex and children or witnessing sexual acts with children, she just denied. So what was the real reason they were so fearful of this information coming out? I don't understand. Is it because she blatantly lied throughout the entire deposition? I mean, and then it can be used against her in the other cases. That is the only thing I can think of. I mean, they're just questions. But, unless she is really trying to tell us, hey, yeah, everything in here that they asked me about, yeah, it's true. So I don't want you to know that. The biggest takeaway then, I guess, that we can assume is that everything that she was asked about is true. And that's why she didn't want it out there. Because again, she didn't cop to anything. She didn't accept or acknowledge anything. She denied. So she's really making herself look worse by trying to keep this hidden. Because if it was all lies, you would just say, yeah, let it come out. I don't care. I know it's all fabrication. I know it's all untrue. So I don't really care. So I guess that's her admission. Her trying to keep this a secret is an admission. Anyway, guys, I really wish the court had not once again done everything in their power to protect these sick, sociopathic child predators. But it is what it is for right now. So as always, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.